So when you think about major first-party Nintendo Switch games that have been in development for a very long time, chances are Tears of the Kingdom is one that pops right into your mind, but you may not realize that we found out about that game in 2019, and Metroid Prime 4, on the other hand, is a game that we originally learned would be coming to the Nintendo Switch console on June 13th of 2017. And of course, it's had a very interesting development history, but we still have not seen a single glimpse or look at this game, causing many fans to fear potentially Nintendo has shelved this product or quietly canceled it. I've even seen theories online following Metroid Prime remasters reveal at the latest Nintendo Direct that maybe that's just Nintendo doing fan service, and the fact that they didn't mention Prime 4 means that we can't for sure expect that the game is still in development and will be coming to the Nintendo Switch or potentially even the successor. And in today's video, we have some great news around that topic, because Nintendo, for the first time in a very long time, has officially acknowledged that Metroid Prime 4 is still coming. And I personally believe the way that they mentioned this really tells a lot about the broader marketing strategy that Nintendo will likely follow up to Prime 4's release. And we need to go over all those exact details and break down where us Metroid fans should be setting our expectations when it comes to new info on Metroid Prime 4 going forward. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today. Make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, today we are talking about one of my favorite gaming series of all time, period. It's right up there with The Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls, and that is none other than Metroid. And lately, to start off this conversation, it is just an honest statement to say that Metroid fans have been eating very good recently on the Nintendo Switch. If you just think about the recent announcements we've seen hit the console, really starting originally with Metroid Dread, getting a brand new iteration of a 2D Metroid game, but with brilliant modern visuals and an incredible story to boot to wrap up the 5th installment in the mainline Metroid series. That game absolutely delivered for Metroid fans, and it was my favorite game by far and away of 2021. We didn't have a whole lot happen with the series in 2022, but let me tell you, that quickly changed at the most recent February Nintendo Direct, where not only did they shadow drop Metroid Prime Remastered, which is a game we will be talking about further in this video because it does very heavily lead into what I believe is the larger marketing strategy for Metroid Prime 4, but we also, of course, got the inclusion of the Game Boy family of systems on Nintendo Switch Online, now essentially making the Nintendo Switch a Metroid powerhouse. You can play Metroid 1 through 5 on the same console. Granted, we're missing Samus Returns Remake. That is still stuck on the 3DS, but outside of that, there are fantastic options, and we know to expect Zero Mission due to some leaked screenshot that popped up online recently. So we are quite honestly going to have the best way to play many of the mainline Metroid 1 through 5s on the same console, and we now have Prime Remastered, which is one of the highest rated Metacritic games to date on the Nintendo Switch platform, which just shows you how much this timeless classic has held up, and they gave it a fresh coat of paint. It looks beautiful, the visuals are perfect. The boss fights are just as fun and enjoyable as you remember them to be. The puzzle solving, the exploration, everything. It is a top-notch quality Switch title, and I can't recommend it enough. And it also sets a precedent that we will likely see Nintendo move forward with Prime 2 Echoes and Prime 3 Corruption in some way, shape, or form on the Switch as well, while we are waiting for Metroid Prime 4. And that is where the story picks up, because recently there was a survey sent out from Nintendo themselves to people who had purchased Metroid Prime Remastered. Likely, Nintendo spending some R&D dollars to find out, is this appealing to a new audience? Is this just the hardcore Metroid base that is buying this thing? Or is there really enough interest in the announced Metroid Prime 4 that is the reason people are playing through this game, and they are seeing it perform likely very well? We don't have sales data yet, official sales data that is, but week in and week out, it maintains its top spot on the eShop charts, and that is following other Nintendo Switch new releases like Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Bayonetta Origins. So things look really good for Metroid and the overall sales of Prime Remastered, but you can see the following post where Nintendo is investigating who's actually buying this game, as it says the following: now we would like to ask a few questions about your experience with Metroid games. Which of the following reasons were the most important in your decision to get Metroid Prime Remastered? And you can see all the various different options. I was interested in the new control options, it received good reviews. I was looking for a game to get along my new Nintendo Switch console. I knew Samus from Super Smash Bros. And was curious to see her in her own adventure. Many people were talking and getting excited about it. I just saw it in the store and spontaneously bought it. I was interested in the improved graphics. It was recommended to me by a friend or family member. I enjoyed Metroid Dread and wanted to play. And the big one right in the middle of the list is it seems like a good way to pass the time until Metroid Prime 4 releases. And that is where I want to spend just a little bit of time, because not only does that reconfirm for anybody who is worried that maybe the game was surprise canceled and that because we haven't seen any Metroid Prime 4 gameplay or any glimpse of the world that we will be adventuring through, that by some chance Nintendo still isn't happy with this thing and it's just put on the shelf. That's definitely not the case. I was never in the camp of believing that that was the case. I was, however, very surprised that we got Prime 1 remastered with no acknowledgement of Prime 4 whatsoever, but Nintendo's just clearly not ready to show it yet. I do think that this shows a lot of interest around the Metroid franchise and how they can organically grow it to be at the levels of a Mario and a Zelda one day. That is clearly Nintendo's goal. They want it to be a consistent, high-performing franchise where you can guarantee 5 to 10 million unit sales per major release, and I think it is telling to include something as an option like passing the time until Metroid Prime 4's release. Many fans have probably forgotten or don't even know that that's in development because we haven't even heard Nintendo officially acknowledge it since 2019, and we know about the rocky development history that they then told us at that 2019 update where they said development had been restarted. The rumor is, of course, Bandai Namco was in control of the development of the game the first time around. Nintendo wasn't happy with the direction it was going and handed the game over to Retro Studios, who has now had it this entire time, and we haven't seen anything. Doesn't mean Retro's not doing a great job, probably just means they're really taking their time to craft a flawless adventure, and the logical progression when you have a series that is now as old as it is, like the Prime series, where Prime 1 was originally released 20 years ago at this point. It makes sense to reintroduce the current player base that is buying Nintendo Switches today to this franchise when you're going to release a numbered title with 4 after it, and many of today's modern gamers may have not ever even touched the series whatsoever. Why would you start off on the 4th installment of something when you haven't played 1, 2, or 3? And while Prime 2 Echoes and Prime 3 Corruption are not at this point in time confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, the same person who is Jeff Grubb doubling down and saying that Metroid Prime 1 remaster was real and would be coming to the Switch, and unfortunately lost his hair due to the bet on the timing of the release. He is saying that he has heard that Prime 2 and 3 are still coming to the Switch, but they may not be getting this same level of an overhaul that we saw with Prime 1 with the redone graphics. It might be something more like an HD edition where it is just simply upscaled to modern resolutions, and it's not something that has that next level touch and care with the visuals, the lighting engine. Everything that they did to Prime 1 remastered was quite honestly a masterpiece in my opinion. But even if that's not the same level of treatment that we see 2 and 3 get, I think that's fine as long as we get the quality of life enhancements like modern resolutions and, most importantly, modern controls, because what they did with the control options on Prime 1 Remastered is exactly what you want to see with the game from the past, because you have options to play it however you remember it. So I do personally believe that 2 and 3 are headed to Nintendo Switch at some point in the future. The question really becomes when. How far apart does Nintendo space these things? Is 6 to 9 months apart a good window? Do they go even shorter than that, and at a summertime presentation we get Prime 2 Echo Shadow dropped, and then in September we actually get Prime 3 Corruption Shadow dropped? That's entirely a possibility. It seems like a lot of Metroid in 1 year. I definitely think that 6 to 9 months is more likely the spacing, but I think it all ultimately revolves around how far out Metroid Prime 4 is, and we still see Retro in recent months hiring for positions for that game. They are clearly not anywhere near done. Could it be a holiday 2023 title? Absolutely, but I definitely am more in the mindset that that game may be a launch game for the next generation hardware, which to be fair could also come out this year, but I think it's more likely that early 2024 is the time that we see that, and maybe Prime 4 is not even a launch game for it, but just one that's in the launch window 6 months after the system is on the market, and I could definitely see that being a scenario. We likely have a lot of time left with the game's development, just considering we haven't seen so so much of a Samus screenshot. We have nothing more than the splash logo from the 2017 reveal, and even when Nintendo was revealing Pikmin 4, they gave us some detailed screenshots and then a little intro trailer kind of showing off the CGI of the game. We haven't gotten anything like that for Prime 4. Could that all change over the summer and September, and then it is actually out this year? Absolutely, and the sooner the better, but I definitely trust Retro is creating a truly enjoyable experience through and through. I think Metroid Prime is back in the right hands, and if the love and care that was shown to Prime 1 Remastered is any indication of what we should expect for the quality level of Prime 4, I think Metroid fans will be very happy, and I am just hopeful that Nintendo can correctly market this thing to a broader mainstream audience so us Metroid fans continue to eat well for years and years to come. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What, if anything, you think this survey that Nintendo is clearly pushing out to users who bought Prime 1 Remastered really means? Do you think that this is them kind of doing their next level investigation into who is buying this game so they know what to do with Prime 2 and 3 in terms of its marketing, and then ultimately Prime 4? Do you think we actually do get Prime 2 and 3, or do you think that it's likely that since Metroid Prime 1 was the most successful out of the trilogy, that we only are left with that one and they skip straight to Prime 4? And when are you personally expecting to get any kind of look at the gameplay or the world of Prime 4? And if you had to bet on it, when do you think it ultimately comes out? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.